If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our U.S.-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour. Talking the news with Noam Laden. All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now, Talking the News with Noam on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, November 14th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today. The high going to be 50. Saturday, mostly cloudy, high 51. And then Sunday, sunshine, high 55. So not so bad. If you are walking out the door with us right now, it is 38 and clear in Rye up in Westchester County, 39 and clear in Toms River over in New Jersey, and it's 40 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The right to die debate heats up again in New York. NYPD cops take out a gunman who could have done a lot of harm. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch has a big decision to make. The tariffs may soon take a toll on pasta shops across the city. And what would it be like if no one noticed you were gone? All right, let's get into it at 5:01. NYPD cops killed a 20-year-old man in an exchange of gunfire last night after he allegedly went on this gun-toting tirade around the Upper East Side, threatened to shoot up Mount Sinai Hospital. He went from place to place. At one point, he pointed a gun at a man in an elevator. That was on 106th Street in Madison. Then he walked out of there. It's a complicated story, but I'll make it simple here. He walked out of there, then went into a bodega, jumped the counter, stole a phone of a guy behind the counter, told him to call 911 because they're going to shoot up the hospital. He then went over to the hospital. Thankfully, there was a police guard on duty, and eventually they caught up with this guy who clearly had an intention. Well, I should say the police will say he clearly had an intention to do some sort of harm and shoot people. He had a gun, he had bullets, and they took him out. The police did. The man fired his weapon at cops who were coming out of their vehicles on the Upper East Side. This was about 7 o'clock, so this wasn't even late last night. There were people nearby getting off a bus. Here's how police described the scene.
Every day, our officers put on their uniforms and they encounter dangerous situations across this city. But it's another kind of danger when someone goes into a deli and a hospital with a gun and opens fire directly at the NYPD.
Yeah, so the cops discharged their guns, returned fire, striking him once in the chest, once in the hip. He was taken to the hospital where he passed away. The police officers who were involved in this shooting, they were taken to the hospital as well. None of them were hit by gunfire, but they were there for ringing in their ears. The entire incident captured on surveillance video, so police will do a full investigation.
This situation could have turned out differently. An individual walked into multiple locations with a gun, menaced multiple people with that gun, and then shot at our officers in the middle of a busy sidewalk with civilians in close proximity.
Yeah, cops who, opened fire on this individual, they didn't know exactly what was going on. All they knew is he was pointing a gun at them. Locals described hearing the barrage of gunshots, people not sure exactly where it was coming from.
Trying to help whoever was coming in the store to, keep them safe. It seemed like a police officer was having a scuffle with somebody, should tell them to stop.
Yeah, no doubt these officers who shot that armed man last night credited for saving countless New Yorkers' lives. I mean, if he'd gotten to that hospital, I don't even want to think about that. And then, of course, inside that bodega. 5:03, A big mob betting bust over in New Jersey.
14 people are arrested and charged in a mob-related illegal sports betting ring. Attorney General Matthew Platkin says the suspects operated a multi-million-dollar online illegal betting enterprise run by organized crime members.
Organized crime families seem to have a hard time breaking this old habit, so we're going to break it for them.
Platkin says Joseph Little Joe Perna, a soldier in the Lucchese crime family, funded the operation and his son Joseph ran it. He allegedly recruited college students to entice Gen Zers to place bets. I'm Lisa Ritchie, 77 WABC News.
While we're in New Jersey, police on the hunt for a person who tried to confront acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, Alina Habba, at her Newark office.
In a post, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says last night an individual attempted to confront Habba and destroyed property in her office and then fled the scene. Bondi says Habba was not harmed. She adds this is unfortunately becoming a trend as radicals continue to attack law enforcement agents around the country.
WABC News Time 5:04. Self-described Democratic Socialist Katie Wilson has won the race for mayor of Seattle. So the DSA and the socialist candidates, they of course did well on election night here in New York City, but we're seeing them do well across the country. Here was Katie Wilson after her win last night.
It has been, I think it's fair to say, a bruising 9 months. But now the fight is over, and it's time to come together.
And she had beat the incumbent mayor in Seattle, Bruce Harrell. He called to congratulate her. She said it was a tough fight, but she said she did this like Zohran Mamdani. Sounded very similar to him. She did this for the working people.
The working people of our city are tired. They are ready for something new, something more hopeful and just and equitable. And I am committed to fighting as hard as humanly possible to realize our shared vision. Collectively, I believe we will be stepping into office with a strong mandate to tackle the affordability crisis, meaningfully address homelessness, and build a city for working people.
Her campaign was a lot like Zohran Mamdani's. The field to replace outgoing Democratic Congressman Jerry Nadler in his Manhattan district getting a little more crowded today.
On Thursday, Democratic City Councilman Eric Bottcher announced he was in the race. Bottcher, who filed to run last month but announced Thursday, said his background, which includes being targeted by break-ins and vandals for his support of drag story hours, makes him the right person to stand up to President Trump. Jack Schlossberg, grandson of President John F. Kennedy, also announced for the seat this week. There are at least 7 announced candidates. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
New York City rents rising faster than the rate of inflation now.
The median rent in Manhattan rose to $4,600 a month, 7% higher than a year ago. In Brooklyn, it's $3,850 a month, also 7% higher. In Northwest Queens, it's $3,080 a month, 3% higher than a year ago. Appraiser Jonathan Miller says there are bidding wars for 20% of apartments and for 30% of apartments in Brooklyn. Bidding wars sometimes push the rent up another 10%. Joe Connolly, 77 WABC News.
The federal government slowly reopening after a 44-day-long government shutdown. Vice President Vance, he was on Fox News last night blaming Democrats for that shutdown and for it taking so long to end.
Oh, of course. Privately, we were having conversations all the time. And frankly, privately, the Democrats would recognize the position of their far left was crazy. But they all feel a little bit like they're being held hostage by their far left. You said it very well. Chuck Schumer, this probably ended his career.
The vice president says that Democrats brought stress to troops, air traffic controllers, caused flight cancellations. The vice president says it was literally for nothing because he says the House deal that ended the shutdown was identical to the one that Democrats had rejected weeks and weeks earlier.
Well, some of it's already started, Sean, but some of it is going to take a long time because we inherited a disaster. We inherited the highest peacetime debt and deficits in the history of the United States of America. We inherited the worst inflation crisis in at least the last 40 years.
The vice president says President Trump now wants to get the government open and running as quickly as possible.
But I had this conversation with the president yesterday afternoon. I said, assuming the House is able to get this done, do you want to sign this tomorrow morning? He said, no, I want to sign it tonight because the only way to get the people's government turned back on as quickly as possible possible was to sign the bill as quickly as possible.
Now, there's still problems at the airports today. It's not clear when that mess is going to be sorted out. As air traffic controllers who were not getting paid, some of them were not showing up for work. Now they're not all back at work because they haven't totally got their back pay yet. So the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, she was praising the TSA agents who did work through the government shutdown without being paid. She held a press conference yesterday, says those agents stepped up and showed outstanding patriotism and service.
Stepped up every single day to make sure that those individuals at our airports and at our transportation systems continued to be safe and secure while they went about their daily lives, and limited the impact on those families that relied so much on getting to where they needed to be on time.
She also announced and handed out $10,000 bonuses for agents who worked the entire shutdown. Flights had been cut due to staffing shortages as TSA agents and traffic controllers had to work without pay. So it was purposely done because there wasn't enough air traffic controllers in those towers. So they slowed down traffic depending on what day it had been, 6, 8, 10%. Still going to happen, not as mad as it was over the weekend or even Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, but you're going to see some delays still today.
We are going to not only continue their paychecks like they should have received all along, but also they're going to get a bonus check for stepping up, taking on extra shifts, for showing up each and every day, for serving the American people. They were examples to the rest of the individuals who worked with them and endured those hardships and continued to shine a light on really what is special about America.
WABC News Time 511, a group of bipartisan congressmen who were traveling to D.C. had their plane diverted after a disruptive passenger forced the aircraft to make an emergency landing.
Arizona Congressman Greg Stanton shared a post on X explaining that he was on board the American Airlines flight from Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport with Congressman Eli Crane, Andy Biggs, and Paul Gosar when they were forced to land in Kansas City to remove the passenger. According to reports from TMZ, a rep for American Airlines confirmed police removed the passenger from the plane in Kansas City before the aircraft took off again and landed safely at Reagan-Washington National Airport. Circumstances around what exactly the passenger did remain unclear. I'm Wendy Swanson.
Down to Florida, where there was just this huge ICE operation this week in South Florida. They called it Operation Criminal Return. They also dubbed it Operation Dirtbag because of the people they arrested and picked up over the last 48 hours.
In just 10 days, we've been able to remove, in partnership with the state of Florida, over 230 of the worst heinous criminals from their streets.
So the list they gave us, 54 sexual predators, 164 sex crime offenders, 2 convicted murderers, all those picked up in the last 10 days, all of them in the country illegally. Many of them had targeted children.
Anybody who hurts a child in this country should not be allowed to run free.
And now, when you heard from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, they were surprised that all these people were in the Sunshine State, and of course, thrilled that they're off the streets this morning.
Every region of FDLE in the state of Florida took part of this operation, and 230 arrests were made within a 10-day period.
Yeah, it's a lot. Meanwhile, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, they are speaking out about the Trump administration's immigration policies. They say profiling has created a climate of fear and anxiety in the immigrant community.
Pastors, we care about our people, and we care particularly for those who are most vulnerable.
The Conference of Catholic Bishops is having their annual conference in Baltimore as we speak. El Paso Archbishop, you just heard there, Mark Seitz, says people who are a threat to the community should be deported. But he says innocent civilians have been caught up in the raids. The statement he made received a near unanimous approval from the conference, which is having the meeting in Baltimore.
That's just what the church ought to do and what it does. It's what we are called to do. What the government has been saying is we're after criminals. It's extended much more broadly than that.
Yeah, the Catholic bishops signing this document yesterday calling for an end to what they call dehumanizing rhetoric and violence directed at immigrants and, they said, by the way, in this document, ICE agents. 5:14 at the White House, the president, First Lady Melania Trump, talking about the foster care system. They want to bolster it here in the U.S.
Under this major new initiative, great American companies and institutions will be signing a pledge to invest in teaching, training, and mentoring America's youth who are transitioning out of the foster care system.
This White House event, the president signed an executive order connected to the what they call Fostering the Future initiative. The order's focused on support for youth in foster care who age out of the system and into adulthood. Melania Trump says too many of these kids who age out end up homeless once they exit the system.
But using the tax credit will expand occupational training, education, and financial literacy programs for the foster youth and make it possible for more of them to attend the school of their choice. Choice is a great word for a lot of reasons.
Fostering the Future, a Be Best initiative, provides individuals from the foster care community with technology-based scholarships to attend colleges and universities throughout America.
Childhood resources have been central to Melania Trump's Be Best initiative. All right, coming up, the latest on those Jeffrey Epstein emails. Will we ever see them? We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Friday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Friday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We'll start here. The big news of the night yesterday coming out of MLB Awards Week, we have ourselves an MVP. Voters narrowly choosing our very own Yankees captain Aaron Judge as American League MVP, who continued to cement his place among baseball's all-time greats by becoming the 13th player to win 3 or more MVPs. He joins Yogi Berra, Joe DiMaggio, and Mickey Mantle as the only Yankees to have accomplished the feat. The vote from the BWAA was one of the closest in years. Judge received 17 of 30 first-place votes and 13 second-place votes. Cal Raleigh, coming in second, received the other 13th-place votes out of Seattle, of course, the big slugger. He finished second on the other 17 ballots. And in the National League, Shohei Ohtani was named MVP for the second straight year as well, capturing all 30 first-place votes there from the BWAA in the wake of another dynamic offensive season that included a successful return to pitching and once again capped off by a LA Dodgers championship. So a close one in the AL and a not-so-surprising result there in the NL. Congrats goes out to Judge and Ohtani, two back-to-back MVP winners there.
Do you know who the other 4 Yankees are to do the same feat that Aaron Judge has done?
Yeah, 3.
Do you know who the other 3 are?
Yeah, if you were listening to me, I already named them.
Oh, you named them? All right, sorry.
Yogi
you know
Berra.
What? I'm doing traffic this morning. I'm so nervous about it that I was reading through my traffic notes.
I know.
So I didn't hear your
I can hear it in your voice. You tremble a little bit when you read the traffic. What are you so nervous about?
Well, he's just so good at it, and I can't, match his abilities.
Yeah, but worst comes to worst, he calls a couple accidents out there. I mean, what's the big deal?
So I guess you know the answer to that question, right? I was going to show you how smart I was.
Yeah,
too.
no, hey, listen, I mean, it's a good little factoid there.
Yeah.
You get to show ball.
Yeah.
But, he does join Bear to match mantle there. Few Yankee greats. Hey, man,
I am going to listen to your 545 sports report like I've never listened to it before, just to make up for the fact I didn't listen to any of this one.
That's up to you, Noam, and I'm not losing any sleep over it.
Who won the football game last night? Did you get to that already?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm about to, if you let me. The Jets, of course, did not win the football game last night. They fall to 2-8, 27-14, lost to the now 9-2 Patriots. Justin Fields did throw a touchdown pass to John Mechie, but was otherwise ineffective through the air, going 15 of 26 for 116 yards. He was also without his top receiver, Garrett Wilson, who was placed on IR yesterday with a knee injury. So up next for the Jets, they'll visit Baltimore next Sunday. Come this Sunday, early afternoon slate, 1 p.m. start here. It's a 5-3 3-1 Packers at our 2-8 New York Football Giants, and the Packers, they're 7.5-point road favorites. To the NHL quickly here in Vegas, Jean-Gabriel Pageau scored a shorthanded goal at the 3:02 mark of overtime, and the Islanders beat the Knights 4-3 for their third straight win. Up next for the Owls, they're right back at it tonight in Utah, dropping a 9 p.m. puck against the Mammoth. Two basketball games to look forward to tonight as well. 7 p.m. tip-offs in both cases. The Knicks will welcome in the Miami Heat, and the Nets, they're out in Orlando against the Magic. Both of these contests are NBA Cup group play. That is your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Hollick on 77 WABC.
House members will soon get to weigh in on a bill calling on the Justice Department to release all of its Jeffrey Epstein case files. Correspondent Peter Alexander has more.
While the president has denied any wrongdoing, the Epstein scandal has not gone away. House Speaker Mike Johnson now promising he'll put the future of the Epstein files on the floor for a vote next week, an effort Democrats, along with multiple House Republicans, support.
Yeah, so with this discharge petition now reaching 218 signatures, House Speaker Mike Johnson's required to put the bill on the floor soon. This all comes after Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released emails this week from Jeffrey Epstein that mentioned President Trump.
They include a 2019 email where Epstein, who would soon be indicted on sex trafficking charges, referenced President Trump, writing, "Of course he knew about the girls," as he asked Ghislaine to stop. That's a reference to Epstein's former girlfriend and co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein continuing to reference Trump in later emails, writing in 2015 to a New York Times reporter, quote, "Would you like photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen?" The White House pushing back, and the president calling the story a hoax on social media, arguing Democrats are trying to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if we ever see these emails. 5:22. Senator John Fetterman recovering today after falling near his home near a morning walk on Thursday.
A spokesperson for the Pennsylvania Democrats said he was transported to a Pittsburgh hospital out of an abundance of caution. Fetterman was found to have a ventricular fibrillation flare-up that caused him to feel lightheaded and fall. He joked about the minor injuries to his face that he suffered, saying, "If you thought my face looked bad before, wait until you see it now." Fetterman suffered a stroke while running for Senate in 2022. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WABC News Time 5:23. Blue Origin has successfully launched a mission to Mars. The powerful New Glenn rocket from Jeff Bezos' company blasted off from Cape Canaveral with two NASA Mars orbiters, and you heard all the crowd just going crazy as it took off. They'll measure the dynamics of the planet's magnetic field and atmosphere. The launch also featured a successful landing of the rocket's booster stage that'll be for later reuse.
Don't cross our picket line! Hey, don't cross our picket line!
Starbucks baristas walked off the job for the day yesterday. Officials with Starbucks Workers United, the union for Starbucks workers, says 1,000 baristas at 65 coffee shops, 40 cities, were on strike yesterday, including a couple of them here in the city. The union accuses Starbucks of refusing to fairly negotiate and has rejected the company's previous proposal. Starbucks claims it already offers competitive pay and benefits and is ready to negotiate if they will just return to the table. The strike could expand if no progress is made, with union members pledging to continue escalating actions if needed. Now, this action coincided on purpose with the coffee giant's very popular Red Cup Day, which is huge every year at Christmas time for Starbucks. Meanwhile, layoffs are hitting at Verizon today.
The Wall Street Journal reports Verizon plans to lay off 15,000 of its 100,000 employees starting next week, in Verizon's largest job cuts ever. Verizon is facing a battle for both wireless and home internet customers and has been losing phone subscribers. And Verizon also plans to turn about 200 of its stores into franchised operations. Verizon's new chief executive says cost reductions will be a way of life for us here. Joe Connolly, 77 WABC News.
Boy, the job market is just so soft. If you know anybody that's looking for a job, they're probably having a hard time finding one. And people across the globe are worried about AI's impact, but they do not think technology will come for everybody's job.
According to a new YouGov poll, 72% of U.S. respondents say they worry about the broader economic effects of AI, while only 47% said they're concerned about their own jobs. When looking abroad, the survey found that 70% of adults surveyed in the UK are concerned about the economy-wide impact of AI, compared to 39% who worry about AI-related consequences for their own occupation. The survey covered nearly 5,000 adults in the US, UK, India, and Brazil, and it comes on the heels of major corporations laying off workers and citing AI as a reason. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
WABC News Time 526. Let's go overseas. Colombia suspending intelligence sharing with the U.S. over those U.S. strikes on suspected drug boats in the region. Correspondent Richard Engel asked Colombian President Gustavo Petro about his reasoning during an interview in Bogota.
Intelligence is key. The more we coordinate, the better. But intelligence is not for killing, he said. President Petro is one of the few world leaders willing to publicly criticize President Trump.
Meanwhile, Venezuela launching a massive mobilization of its military personnel. According to the country's defense ministry, land, air, naval, and reserve forces will carry out exercises through next Wednesday in response to the buildup of U.S. warships and troops in the Caribbean Sea. Richard Engel says he asked Petro whether he believes the vessels that were struck were actually carrying drugs.
Maybe or maybe not. We do not know, he said, adding, they are poor boatmen hired by gangsters. The gangsters don't sit on the boats. With President Trump massing warships and troops in the Caribbean, Venezuela is preparing for war. State-run television is now showing volunteers receiving weapons to fight what the country's authoritarian president, Nicolas Maduro, calls American imperialism.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens down there.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour. Talking the news with Noam Laden. All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now, Talking the News with Noam on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, November 14th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today. The high going to be 50. And then the weekend, not too bad. Saturday, mostly cloudy, high 51. We'll see some rain Saturday night, but by Sunday morning, it's sunshine, and it'll be a high 55. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are, it is 38 and clear in Rye up in Westchester County, 39 and clear in Toms River over in New Jersey, and it's 40 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. 540, some New York lawmakers and advocates calling for Governor Hochul to sign the Medical Aid in Dying bill. It's also known as MAID. Some call it physician-assisted suicide. The bill would legalize giving terminally ill adult patients who have 6 months or less to live the option to have a doctor prescribe them a mixture of a lethal medication. The patient must put their request for the medication in writing, signed by 2 witnesses. You wouldn't be able to have proxies. They couldn't request the procedure. Some of those people who are waiting to die and want this help are asking for this help.
He was sick for 8 years. And
this is a woman who's watched her husband pass away and wish she could help him have done it sooner.
He was sick for 8 years, and he ultimately chose to stop eating and drinking. And that took 12 days. Yeah. And it is not a way that anybody should die.
No, in fact, I'll point out that my father, who passed away in February and also requested to die, died the same way. He starved himself, and that was not fun to watch. Once he had made that decision, if I had been able to give him medication, that would have been amazing. It was passed by the New York State Legislature, by the way, in June, this right to die bill. It's already legal in 11 states, including Washington, D.C., and New Jersey, by the way, as well. Dr. Jeremy Bull, a Columbia County resident, has ALS. He spoke to CBS. He's become partially paralyzed since leaving his job 2 years ago, and he also wants the right to decide when he's going to pass away.
I know I'm going to die from my illness. That's not something I can change, but it gives me a sense of control. should I reach a point where, my suffering is, unbearable.
Mandy Zucker is a former hospice social worker, is the director of the End of Life Choices New York, which is a nonprofit that's been pushing for this bill for more than a decade now.
But he wouldn't even bring her around in a wheelchair or anything. She was just in there all the time.
Yeah, it's a heated debate that's gone on here. Assembly members in opposition have pushed for the state to first address inequitable access to hospice care and other issues before they'll sign off on this bill. The New York State Catholic Conference is also critical of the bill. They're citing patients who request the medication do not have to undergo a mental health evaluation unless a doctor requests that. They want to change that. Now, the governor, she has said that she'll review the legislation. Back in September when she was asked about it, she said she does have some moral qualms about the bill, but she said she'd be able to separate her personal beliefs from what she thinks is right for New Yorkers. Not clear when she's going to make that decision. 543, over to Brooklyn, where an 80-year-old mother and her 52-year-old son were discovered dead inside a downtown Brooklyn apartment. Neighbors reported a foul odor in this J Street apartment building, and that's when the police came in and they were able to break down the door. Both were pronounced dead on the scene, appeared to have been dead for quite some time. The mother apparently had died first and was in an advanced stage of decomposing. Let's see if I can get that word out.
She's been dead about 7 months, according to the coroner. She was a wonderful, quiet woman. I believe she had a piano in there because she played the piano. And her son used to come and take care of her. The last time I heard him was maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yes, and nobody had seen the mother in years. That's what neighbors said. They weren't sure that she'd ever been out of this apartment. Neither body had any trauma. There's no criminality suspected in their deaths, but now neighbors want to know when and how their neighbors died. One of them is Maria Radis, who lives right across the hall. And she says this woman who was found dead in her apartment had lived in the building for at least 25 years, had worked at a bank, was an avid jogger at one point. She'd sometimes hear her play piano, but she had not heard or seen from her in a very long time.
But he wouldn't even bring her around in a wheelchair or anything. She was just in there all the time.
When's the last time you saw her?
About 10 years ago.
Wow.
In the flesh.
You haven't seen her in 10 years?
Yes.
Yeah, the intense part of that story is it doesn't seem anybody was looking for either one of them. 544, Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani stopping by a child care center in Brooklyn yesterday to outline one of his biggest campaign promises, universal child care.
After housing, child care is the number one cost in so many New Yorkers' lives. And we see that in the average estimate of $22,500 a year being the cost of child care for a single child across these 5 boroughs.
It's one of Mamdani's signature issues and one of the most ambitious, free child care for every family in New York. That's what he wants to do. The cost is estimated at about $6 billion a year, would cover infants as young as 6 weeks to children up to pre-kindergarten age.
The most important thing is not how we fund it, but that we fund it. I think these are the most direct ways to do so. But any funding stream that would fund these programs, that is one that we would welcome.
Well, of course, the issue is how do you raise this money? The plan depends on tax increases on corporations and millionaire New Yorkers. Governor Hochul says she supports the concept of universal child care, but she doesn't want to raise taxes. The plan would require a vast infrastructure of personnel and sites to house these children, and that hasn't been identified yet. But you do have a lot of parents in New York who say they can't afford child care, and so they like the idea of free child care.
I honestly think it's an amazing idea. Our community needs that type of support. A lot of our families are currently struggling.
People be more open-minded to actually put their child in child care. You know, child care is such a big assistance, especially for children growing up, a good foundation.
The mayor has a lot of big-ticket items he wants to get done once he's sworn in, of course, on January 1st. In a moment, we'll hear from New Yorkers who are giving Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch advice about whether she should stay or go. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:46, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start with the big news last night. Voters narrowly choosing our very own Yankee captain Aaron Judge as AL MVP, continued to cement his place among baseball's all-time greats by becoming the 13th player to win 3 or more MVPs. He joins Yogi Berra, Joe DiMaggio, and Mickey Mantle as the only Yankees to have accomplished the feat. Cal Raleigh out of Seattle comes in a close second place there. In the National League, Shohei Ohtani was named MVP for the second straight year as well, capturing all 30 first-place votes from the BWAA. In the wake of another dynamic offensive season, he secures his 4th overall MVP award, of course capped off by that LA Dodgers championship as well. Head to the gridiron here. NFL Week 11 getting underway last night. Thursday Night Football in New England. The Jets fell to 2-8 in the form of a 27-14 loss to the now 9-2 Patriots. New York won the pregame coin toss and took the ball, marching 72 yards over 14 plays and taking a 7-0 lead on Justin Fields' 5-yard TD rush, and it was the Jets' first opening drive TD since Week 16 of last season. Up next for the Jets, they'll visit Baltimore come next Sunday. This Sunday, early afternoon slate, 1 p.m. kickoff. The 2-8 Giants, they will welcome in the 5-3-1 Green Bay Packers. Giants there, 7.5-point home underdogs. Head to the ice here in Vegas. John Gabriel Pajou scored a shorthanded goal at the 3:02 mark of overtime, and the Islanders beat the Knights 4-3 for their third straight win. Up next for the Owls, they're right back at it tonight in Utah, dropping a 9 p.m. puck against the Mammoth, and 2 NBA games to look forward to tonight here locally as well, and 2 7 p.m. tip-offs. The Knicks will welcome in the Miami Heat at the Garden for NBA Cup group play there. Also NBA Cup group play out in Orlando, where the Nets will meet the Magic tonight. That is your sports, Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
5:50. Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani reportedly meeting with NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch. New Yorkers can't agree on whether the current NYPD commish should stay in that position.
I think she's doing a good job. I think she's a little bit more organized. I think she's a little less corrupt than the last two.
I don't think so. Look at this city. The city's a wreck. Especially, I live in the Bronx. There's more shootings every day. I'm 60 years old. I've never seen so many shootings in my life.
Now, the mayor-elect has not confirmed whether he's directly spoken with Tisch, only saying he looks forward to continuing having conversations. Mamdani says the goal is to deliver on the vision of public safety. He has said, and he said during the debates, and he said it since then, that he wants Commissioner Tisch to stay on. The question is, does she want to stay on? I guess we'll find out in the coming days. 5:50 up to Harlem, where there was a tribute held last night. Calls for justice for a mom of 4. We told you about this story earlier this week. On Monday, this mom was coming home and she was murdered by, allegedly so, by her ex-boyfriend who lied in wait for her to show up. The mom, Carmen Lopez, was stabbed over and over again 18 times in the hallway of her building. Her ex, Luis Marquez, charged with murder, accused of waiting more than 2 hours for her to get home Monday morning. Well, yesterday, there was a group of people who came out who said, you need to talk more about domestic violence. And they held a ceremony in the mom's honor, and they warned other moms, other women, if you're being abused or followed by ex-boyfriends or current husbands and boyfriends, you need to report those kinds of crimes.
This is for our beautiful angel. We remember her because her light now is in every single one of us. Her light is in her 4 children.
When no means no, it means no.
No. No means no.
But justice for my sister, that's all I want.
Yeah, so they're calling for Marquez to get life behind bars, and they want him tried as soon as possible.
The way he was looking at her in the club, it was like giving like, oh, like, you're my girl, like, come here. And she was like, no, you know? She was a happy person.
We want to expose domestic violence for what it is. It's a crime.
Yeah, the Harlem-based domestic violence awareness organization that's called WARM is helping cover Lopez's funeral expenses. Lopez's family, she had 4 kids, have set up, and she was a single mom, have set up a GoFundMe now to help her 4 sons. 5:52, another Republican likely throwing their hat in the ring for the race for governor in 2026. Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman was at the state capitol in Albany yesterday, trying to meet and talk to as many people as he can. He's doing the statewide tour before he makes a decision about whether he's going to run for governor next year. He was up in Westchester and the Hudson Valley as well.
Taking a look at it, I'm going to run around the state. I've gotten a lot of people who have asked me to get in the race for governor. Yesterday I was in New York City, then I'm going to Albany, and then I'm going up to the North Country. If it's me, that's great. If it's Elise, I will support her 100%. A little competition's good. This is a state where criminals have more rights than victims, and it's a disgrace. We'll go around the state and talk to some more people, and they'll make a decision.
Now, the Elise he's talking about is Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who stopped by on Sid and Friends in the morning yesterday to say that if he wants to jump into the race, he can jump in, but she wants to point out that she's undefeated. She's never lost a race when she's run for anything.
We have an opportunity to defeat Kathy Hochul, and it's very important that Republicans are unified going to the ballot box. And as we kick off this campaign for next year, certainly we're very proud of the results that Nassau County Republicans have been able to deliver, and I stand by my historic results for over a decade in my district. This is a district that was previously held by Democrats.
Yeah, I think she was trying to clear the field, or hoping to clear the field, that Bruce Blakeman would not run. Now, he hasn't said officially that he's going to, but it sure sounds like he's going to challenge her in a Republican primary next year. 554, Sean Diddy Combs will have to spend a few additional weeks in prison after his release date was pushed back.
The New York Post's page 6 reports that Diddy will now be released from prison on June 4th in 2028 rather than May 4th of that year. There's no confirmation as to why, but it follows recent reports that the hip-hop and entertainment mogul allegedly experienced problems with prison officials and was in possession of an alcoholic substance in his cell. Combs arrived at Fort Dix in New Jersey on October 30th and has vehemently denied that he was drinking behind bars. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:54. New Jersey could soon stop the twice-a-year ritual of changing clocks if a new bill to make daylight saving time permanent moves forward. The proposal, sponsored by State Senator Shirley Turner, would keep the state on daylight saving time year-round, meaning no more of the spring forward or fall back. Supporters say the switch would eliminate confusion, improve public health by increasing daylight exposure.
We should just lock the clock.
Yeah.
One way or the other. But I think more people would prefer daylight savings time.
So for decades, federal laws prevented states from observing daylight saving time year-round. However, momentum for change has been growing across the country. There are two states, by the way, who no longer observe daylight saving at all. It's Arizona and Hawaii. Several other states are pushing similar measures. Now, it would be odd if New Jersey got off daylight saving time and they were an hour behind or an hour ahead of New York or Pennsylvania, which are right next door. But Shirley Turner has a feeling that if New Jersey were to somehow figure out a way to change the rules, that other states would follow.
People are frustrated with it, and it's unnecessary. We should come into the modern time.
Yeah, so Turner's bill is expected to head to the state Senate for a vote in the coming weeks. If it passes, it would still require approval from the federal government before it could take effect. WABC News Time is 5:56. Is now the time to buy a real or fake Christmas tree?
If you're an artificial Christmas tree fan, experts say now is the time to buy one because of the impact of tariffs on those imported from abroad. Mac Herman, CEO of artificial tree maker Balsam Hill, tells the Today Show he expects prices to be up a little more this year.
And I definitely would not wait into December because I think that's where we're going to start seeing certain items selling out sooner than they normally do.
One way to save is going fresh, since buying a homegrown tree means it's tariff-free. The Real Christmas Tree Board said a majority of wholesale growers said they do not plan to increase prices. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.